lot of the things that run us and cause self-sabotage are in our subconscious mind. And this is very important. This is the reason why people fail at New Year's resolutions and people don't get what they're after. So if you think about it, okay, conscious mind, 10%. What's the conscious mind? It's what you're aware of right now. You could say the subconscious or unconscious, massive generalization, is what you're not aware of. If I ask you, what do you eat for breakfast today? Now you're aware of it, but where was it before? Out of your awareness. If you had to be aware of everything all the time, your head would explode, right? If you had to be aware of every memory, every experience you've been through, everything that ever happened to you all at once, you just can't. So it's a good system, the way your mind works. There's that split. However, what we do is we use this to put all the stuff that we don't like, the things that we deemed as unacceptable, we store them at the very pit, at the very bottom of our subconscious mind. If you've gone through, for example, a traumatic experience, an experience you deemed as unacceptable, you're like, that never happened. You suppress it or repress it. A negative thought, that never happened. If you embody a certain aspect of yourself and you get shamed for it, that aspect is not me. All the things that are not you, you stuff them down there. And then there's layers and layers of resistance to becoming aware of them. And this explains when you're triggered or when your buttons are pushed. Okay, so let's take the example of social anxiety or approach anxiety. That is not realistic fear. Very important to understand. And you do not get rid of this by going out and progressively desensitizing yourself to it. That does not work. It may work temporarily. Remember, there's different tools for each level, right? If you go out and you put yourself in crazy situations socially, you'll start getting used to it and desensitizing yourself, right? It'll be a little easier. However, what happens when you stop putting yourself in those crazy situations? Yeah. So what's the solution? Are you going to be like up into your like old years, an 80-year-old doing social anxiety challenges and shit to keep that going? No. So it doesn't work. It works temporarily as long as you do it, but it never truly gets to the cause. Why? Because the cause is down there in your subconscious mind. The cause of approach anxiety or social anxiety is past trauma. Now, trauma is not crazy, horrible shit, or let's just say not just that. We think that trauma, it's like, you know, if you look back at your childhood, you're like, well, my childhood was pretty good. Like, if I look back at my childhood, nothing bad really happened. I'm like, oh, you know, parents are still together, pretty healthy household. I didn't go to war. My leg didn't get blown off. Pretty normal childhood. Did I go through trauma? Yes. Because here's the thing. Trauma is anything that's basically too overwhelming for you to handle or process. If you're a kid, your perception of the world is very different than you as an adult now. You getting lost in a grocery store feels like the end of the world. That can feel very traumatic based on your perception, based on the fact that you can't survive on your own. A parent telling you, be quiet, and you might interpret that as a kid as, they don't love me now. If they don't love me, they could abandon me. If they abandon me, I die. Survival instinct, that can be traumatic. Here's another one. Being mocked in school, right? What happens if you're a kid and people find out you like someone in class? They mock you. It's like, oh, Julien and Susie sitting in a tree. And they all fucking laugh. Now, as an adult, you look back, it's like, just kids fucking around, it's fine. But not as a kid. As a kid, that is fucking traumatic. That happened to me. It felt like the end of the world. So what do we do in this situation? Because why? The classroom feels like the world to you as a kid. If you don't fit in the classroom, it feels like you don't fit in the world and you're gonna fucking die. So we take that part of us, as an example, the part of me that likes girls, the part of me that expresses interest in girls, and we're like, that's not me. If I embody that part, I die. And we place it in the pits of our subconscious. And then we live our lives that way, resisting that part of ourselves. And the more we resist it, the more that resistance compounds. And here you are in your adult life, go say hi to her. No, come on, man, just a fucking girl, go say hi. What's the worst case? No, thanks. I'm gonna die. That's what we feel, right? Hey, come up front on stage. I'm gonna die. You're not gonna fucking die. Why do you feel that way? Because it's being poked at. that aspect that you disowned, you're put in a situation where you have to embody it and put it out there. And that same fear of life and death that made you disown it in the past kicks in. That's when you're being triggered, or have a pain body attack, as Eckhart Tolle would call it. Approach anxiety is a pain body attack. Fear of rejection, feeling like you're going to die, is a pain body attack. A breakup that lasts and ruins you for a long period of time is a pain body attack. It's a disproportionate response to reality. And the way to solve this is not using techniques. It's not desensitizing yourself. It's going back and re-owning that part of you, letting go of the resistance around that part of you. And when you do that, you're no longer poked at. And understanding this, what does it mean when you're being triggered? That it's actually good and helpful. Because when you're poked at, say that approach anxiety kicks in, that aspect of you that you disown starts floating up closer to the surface. And the closer it is to the surface of the conscious mind, the easier it is to catch and let go of through the process that we just did before. And by combining that with taking action, you become fucking unstoppable.